The president of the Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities, ASUU, Professor Chris Piwuna, has just been quoted, cited in the Punch newspaper of yesterday, Sunday, 27th of July this month, yesterday, that government, the federal government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should fulfill its promise to ASUU leaders for ASUU members in general on the welfare of the ASUU members, or face strike action. Accusing the government of promise and fail. Well, we are not deceived. We are not deceived that there has been a conspiracy between government and the leadership of the Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities, ASUU, dating back to 2013, when the implementation of the 2009 agreement was due, comprising welfare packages and increment of salaries for ASUU members and the federal universities workers in general. So, the agreement was reached in 2009 when the last time, which was the last time, federal universities workers' salaries were increased for academic and non-academic unions. That happened in 2009. Another increment was due with other packages agreed upon in 2009 were due for implementation in 2013. But the 2009 agreement has not seen the light of day, including increment of salaries, properly so called, since that of 2009 till date. What happened? ASUU leadership will want Nigerians and the whole world to believe that the fault was with government. But we know that the fault is not solely with government, but a conspiracy between the leadership of ASUU and government. Because we came to realize that in 2013, when the implementation of the 2009 agreement was due, that was the year we started hearing of the fraud, the scam called End Academic Allowance. And that every strike has been ending with ASUU leadership getting the fraudulent End Academic Allowance from government to end every strike. So that was not just because the government was not fulfilling its promise, but that a conspiracy was at the bottom of the failure to fulfill the promise. The government is fulfilling the promise of the scam called End Academic Allowance rather than implementation of the 2009 agreement. At the end of every strike, once government agrees to pay the fraudulent End Academic Allowance, ASUU leadership will find a way of suspending the strike, either using the concept of memorandum of understanding or conditional suspension of strike and all manners of ending the strike once government has agreed to pay the fraudulent end academic allowance. So that has been the situation since 2013 till 2025. So that is beyond government not fulfilling promise. Why has government been fulfilling promise to the other academic tertiary academic institutions? Are ASUU members the only union getting end allowance? And indeed, even with all my years in the university, I had to keep pestering the leadership of academic union to tell me the meaning of end academic allowance. Then I came to realize that it is what we used to call excess workload. And each worker, academic and non-academic, got their excess workload earnings calculated for them, approved by department, faculty, and sent to the university administration to table before government, who pays directly into the account of each worker. That was excess workload. But when they came up with this end academic allowance, which will be given to ASUU leadership to distribute to members, and indeed shared with the non-academic unions, that the leaders of the non-academic unions will share with their members. So and some of us started protesting that how can you be taking charge of our earn allowances? In 2012, ASUU leadership amended ASUU constitution to be extorting 2% of each ASUU members' monthly salary monthly, and to increase or decrease it as deemed fit by the leadership alone. And that has been the order of the day since 2012. It started with 2% in 2012 and graduated to 3% in 2024 under this current president of ASUU, Professor Chris Piwuna. So, what are they telling us? That government has not been fulfilling its promises? Which promises? You can no longer hide behind a needle, because we have experienced you beyond my probing to know what you mean by end academic allowance. We have come to know what you mean. It's a bribe, it's a scam, because it's not our end allowances as workers. It was a lump sum, a bribe agreed between you and government, and you are the sharer of the so-called end academic allowance, from which you and your cohorts become automatic multimillionaire, while you give pittance and what you like to the rest of us. So, accusing government of not fulfilling promise is deception. Is deception. But now I am urging I'm urging us, ASUU members, to cooperate with ASUU leaders this time around. Because they have been deceiving us that every strike is for the 2009 agreement, and once we concede and give the nod for the leadership to declare strike, they turn it into something else. Heap demands upon demands on government, demands that they know government will never be able to meet in one fell swoop under one strike. And academic allowance, funds for the development of the universities, visitation panels, and all manners of demands on government that government cannot. So, including increment. So, you're asking for increment of salaries, you're asking for end academic allowance, fraudulent one this time around, and funds for the universities and visitation, all of them capital intensive. that are unreasonable to expect government to meet in one fell swoop under one strike. So, and you know it is not possible, but you know your target, fraudulent and academic allowance, from which you and your cohort become multimillionaire. And how can you be sharing earned academic allowance with the non-academic unions who have their own earnings? So definitely nobody needs to consult the Orefuku to believe what I am saying, that it is not earned academic allowance but a bribe taken by ASUU leaders, shares with the non-academic unions leaders to share to members as they want at their own discretion. you know, so they and their cohorts become automatic multimillionaire while giving pittance to fellow members. Sometimes less than 20,000 for some people, sometimes less than 10,000 for some non-academic union workers. So inhumanity of human beings to human beings. So extorting a percentage of each worker's monthly salary monthly in the name of a workers' union. And even saying that the welfare of the members is not the overarching priority of the union, but a percentage of their monthly salary monthly, each member. 2%, 2012 to 2024, 3% from 2024 till date. Criminality, unimaginable criminality. Can anything be more criminal? Of course, it is as criminal as claiming fuel subsidy and claiming to be transferring funds to indigent households. Removing subsidies from all necessities of life, including fuel subsidy, and sinking Nigeria in debt. So, but we are talking of a leadership of a union amending the constitution by itself to be extorting any percentage of each member's monthly salary monthly it deems fit, and taking and mortgaging the allowances of the workers in the name of fraudulent and academic allowance. And you can now ask yourself, where are the universities administrators and the government? Because these extortions are not possible without the collaboration of the universities, administrators, and government, the employers. So it's not possible to be extorting a percentage of each worker's monthly salary monthly without the collaboration of the employers who pay the money, and giving fraudulent and academic allowance by the employers who know that the allowances were not calculated for each worker, but a bribe given by government. The universities administrators cannot claim not to know, let alone government that is paying it, that is giving the bribe. So, but now this is 2025. ASUU leaders have gotten another fraudulent and academic allowance this year. So we hope that earned academic allowance will not feature in their demand this time, and that the strike will end with implementation of the 2009 agreement. That ASUU leaders will not pile on government spurious demands that may be necessary, but unreasonable to pile with welfare of members. But of course, this is a union leadership that says welfare of a workers' union is not the overarching priority of the union. Madness. So they are so drunk with power and money that they don't know what they are talking about again. Welfare of a workers' union, welfare of members of a workers' union is not the overarching priority of the union. Can anything be more crazy? Madness. Crime against humanity. three forces: unholy trinity, ASUU leadership, the university administrators cooperating with them, and the government, the chairman.